You've got to hear this one. Picture this, a massive volcano, totally asleep for centuries. Then, out of nowhere, a colossal earthquake hits nearby. And just days later, that sleeping volcano roars back to life. So what's the deal? A wild coincidence? Or did that quake literally flip a switch deep inside the Earth?
I mean, we're not talking about a quick nap here. This volcano had been silent for pretty much half a millennium. Just think about that for a second. Everything in the world that's happened since its last eruption.
400 years. That's how long Russia's Krasheninnikova Volcano was quiet. To put that in perspective, we're talking about an eruption way back around the year 1550. That's before Shakespeare was writing his plays. That's how long this thing was dormant.
And then on August 3rd, 2025, bam. That long, long silence was completely shattered. The giant on the Kamchatka Peninsula was awake, and believe me, it was putting on one heck of a show.
Now, according to the official response team out there, this wasn't just some little puff of smoke. No. We're talking fiery lava flows pouring down the mountainside and huge ash plumes shooting kilometers up into the sky. It was serious enough that they had to raise the aviation alert to orange.
So you gotta ask, right? What on earth could possibly disturb a 400-year slumber like that? Well, it turns out, just 5 days earlier, the entire region got shaken, violently. And this, my friends, is where our geological detective story really kicks off. And who's the prime suspect? A massive 8.8 magnitude earthquake. Now, that's not just a tremor. That is a monster, one of the most powerful earthquakes we have ever recorded, a truly planet-rattling event.
So let's just look at the evidence here. On one hand, you have this enormous quake that strikes 240 kilometers away, and on the other, a volcano that's been dormant for centuries suddenly blows its top just 5 days later. I mean, come on, the timing is just a little too perfect, wouldn't you say?
And that brings us to the million-dollar question, the one scientists were desperate to answer. Was this just a 1 in a billion coincidence, or was the earthquake the actual trigger that woke the volcano up? Now, you can't just walk up and pop the hood on a volcano to see what's going on. So to solve this mystery, investigators had to get really creative. They had to use some pretty amazing space-age tech to peer deep beneath the Earth's surface, all the way from orbit. And the team on the case? None other than the brilliant minds at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL. These are the experts you call when you need to use satellites to figure out incredibly complex stuff happening on our planet.
Okay, so their secret weapon was this incredible tool called InSAR. Yeah, I know, it's a bit of a mouthful, but here's what you need to know. Think of it like a super-powered radar on a satellite that can detect the ground moving by just a few centimeters. It can literally see the ground bulge and breathe. It's the perfect tool for the job. So, using this amazing technology, the JPL team started digging through all the data from those 5 crucial days between the earthquake and the eruption. And bingo, they found it. They found the smoking gun. Okay, so here's the theory they were working with. First, that massive quake sends these huge shockwaves through the ground. Now, deep under the volcano, you've got this chamber of magma full of dissolved gas, kind of like a can of soda. When the earthquake violently shakes it, it's like shaking that soda can. All those gases suddenly fizz up into bubbles, which jacks up the pressure inside like you wouldn't believe. That pressure has to go somewhere, so it forces a blade-like sheet of magma, called a dike, to crack its way up to the surface. And as that magma pushes up, it makes the ground above it start to swell, just a little bit. And this is the awesome part. The InSAR data confirmed the whole theory. It detected a slight swelling, a bulge, right on the volcano. But here's the kicker. The data showed that this swelling started after the earthquake, but before the eruption. That was it. That was the missing link they needed to connect the dots. It's all summed up perfectly by JPL geophysicist Paul Lundgren. With this clear evidence in hand, he could say it plain as day. I would consider this eruption as triggered by the magnitude 8.8 earthquake. I mean, case closed, right? This timeline just lays it all out so clearly. July 29th, the quake hits. For the next few days, the satellites see the ground swelling up. Then on August 3rd, that 400-year silence is broken. A perfect, clear chain of cause and effect. But hold on, because the story doesn't end there. As wild as this one event was, Krasheninnikova awakening is actually part of a much, much bigger picture. The entire Kamchatka Peninsula is a geological hotspot. It sits right on the Pacific Ring of Fire, which, as you probably know, is where most of the world's volcanic and seismic action happens.
And get this, it wasn't just Krasheninnikova. A few months later, its neighbor, a volcano named Kronotsky, also erupted, for the first time in over 100 years. So this suggests it's not just one volcano waking up. It's like the earthquake rattled the whole neighborhood. It's making scientists rethink how they look at risk, not just volcano by volcano, but across entire regions.
And the kind of power we're talking about here is just immense. It literally shapes the landscape. For example, past eruptions from that other volcano, Kronotsky, were so massive that they dammed a river with lava and ash, and in doing so, they created Lake Kronotskaya, the largest lake on the entire peninsula. These things don't just shake the ground, they build new worlds. So, what's the big takeaway here? Well, it's a powerful reminder of just how interconnected and dynamic our planet really is. This discovery is a huge step forward. It gives scientists a brand new model to understand and maybe even forecast eruptions in other high-risk areas, from the Andes to Japan. It turns a fascinating geological mystery into an insight that could actually save lives. The story of Krasheninnikova proves that deep beneath our feet, silent giants are just waiting for the right push to awaken, which leaves us with a final fascinating question to think about.